Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
No guest this week because, a few reasons why. Because one, you're going on holiday tomorrow if I recall correctly. We're recording this on a Thursday rather than the Friday as per normal.
I mean, technically, actually, I went on holiday a couple of weeks ago, but I'm going to visit family for a few days, so we are recording a day early.
Yeah, still technically a holiday, innit?
Eh.
And the other reason is I've not really had a chance to book one because, as some of you may be very well aware, I recently had shoulder surgery. If you're probably wondering why I've not actually been narrating the most recent set of videos, it's mainly because leading up to and including that. Yeah. So I am in a crap ton of pain, but I've got a nice set of strong painkillers, which are probably going to get me high as fuck later. I don't know. But I've not started any fights with pigeons yet, unlike the spine ones I had last time.
Yeah, so I think
abductor brace.
You're winning this round with Slaanesh then.
Just about. Though I am stuck in an abductor brace, so I've only got one arm, essentially, as my non-dominant arm as well.
Oh, but Remleiz, I thought you had a servo harness.
Ha. That's in a sling.
Yeah.
So, do the stereotypical send your love and prayers in the comments section, blah, 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 blah. And if I'm grouchy today, I have a right to be. I'm in pain.
Yes, it's quite all right. Well, it's the middle of the summer holidays for me, so I'm in quite a cheery mood, so I'll compensate.
Oh. Lucky for some.
But anyway, right. I'm sorry, I didn't catch a word of what you said there.
This week it was mostly... I was just saying, in the news this week, it was mostly Middle-earth, so no one really cared.
It was Khorne Day. Did you not notice?
No, if you haven't noticed...
Okay, so on the 8th of the 8th, as befits, it was Khorne Day, according to Games Workshop, and they did a bunch of Khorne-themed reveals for a variety of games, actually. So the first one was for Underworlds. They released the first fighter for a new Khorne warband called...
Oh, that I did see. The guy with the dad bod.
Yeah, so this is Skullgrinder Herax, who is part of what's the official name of the warband here? The Gore Chosen of Drom. But this is the Skullgrinder who is accompanying them.
Right. Yeah, I saw this and I thought this would make a really good conversion of Needles Kane from Twisted Metal. The clown whose head's on fire.
Yeah, more old people references.
What do you mean old people references? Samoa Joe's going to be voicing Needles Kane in a new Twisted Metal production, so...
Fine. But no, it is a...
You should know this.
But to be fair, it is a really cool model. It actually reminds me a lot of the Nurgle Blight Kings, but de-Nurglified as well, which I really like. And I reckon that depending on how big... I know how big the model will probably be, but just depending on how chunky and tall it is, I reckon there's a lot of different armies. I reckon, actually... If you filed away some of the symbols, you can make a really cool, flagellant witch hunter type character as well. Burn the witch type thing going on. So I think that's a really cool model that they've done there, and I can't wait to see the rest of them. I think they're really quite cool.
I just realised, since we're both wrestling fans, how do we miss the obvious Burning Hammer reference?
Also that, yeah, fair enough. The second one for Khorne Day was the World Eaters Legion upgrade sprue, which just gives your Mark 5-6 Marines whatever, basically bunny ears. And I wish I was kidding, because the first thing I saw of someone doing this was immediately painting them like bunny ears in Photoshop. So yes, the World Eaters got their upgrade kit. The Space Wolves got theirs. We'll get to that. But yes.
I've got a few things to say about that. You want me to get to it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing I've really seen in regards to this upgrade kit is someone took the shoulder pad and turned it into an angry face.
I saw a lot of memes using the bear head of the kit as well, the upgrade heads. Just quite a loud, shouty, but also smiley head.
Yeah, I saw the one Oculus did in regards to Bot.
Yes.
Well, it's a great day here on Bot, and then all of a sudden you got the moon with Ortec Moore's face on it just going, nope.
Yes, that was the one.
For those of you who may not be aware, for the context, during the Horus Heresy, Ortec Moore and Iron Hand, basically he effectively nuked Bot, which was the primary recruitment world of the World Eaters, and he did so by dropping a moon on the planet.
As you do.
He went full anime character on this.
Yes. And the final upgrade, speaking of the World Eaters, we got the first look at the new Khorne Berserkers.
Woo!
And they look amazing.
They can retire Wally the Wanderer now.
Oh, is that? Yes, that's the one they actually use in the comparison piece as well, with the sort of skull head. But no, the new Khorne Berserker kit looks perfect.
It does look really good.
I saw some people whinging about the backpacks being so blooming wide.
Have they not seen Chaos Space Marine kits before?
Oh yeah, I know, but someone made a point about it on Twitter, and I just thought I'd mention it. But no, they look really cool. And actually, in comparison to the Chaos Space Marines kit, they're a bit less ornate. Like, the armor's a lot simpler. It's got trim, don't get me wrong, but it's not as ornate and filigreed and covered in all sorts of fine detailing and etching and spikes as the standard Chaos Space Marine kits are. It's a bit more
at least from what we can see in the photo, because we can't really see the shoulder pads or stuff, can we? So
yeah, this is fair and this is true. But just looking at it compared to a Chaos Space Marine, because I've seen a few of them being worked on by different people, they look a bit pared back by comparison, at least to me. But they've got plasma pistol, a lovely looking chain axe, the classic helm, chains, skulls, all that sort of stuff. So yes to all of this.
The funny thing is, someone compared this with the Primaris Assault Intercessors by, comparing the base size and that to get a size comparison, and they're about the same size.
This assumes they're on the same base, but which they should be actually, because they're both Space Marines.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, these are big boys.
Interesting.
So, can we talk about the Space Wolf kit?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, the new Space Wolf upgrade kit, you got Space Wolf shoulder pads, and new Mark 6 helmets, which are basically wolf heads.
Now, before we go too into that rant, the shoulder pads look good. Say that now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to rant against the wolf heads. I think they look fine. They're a perfect, homage to, that old Rogue Trader Space Wolf Captain model that has the same helmet.
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly fine. I don't understand where all the hate's coming from. I mean, it's the Mark 6 helmet, so obviously it's going to have, a bit of a snout anyway, because, beaky. Or beak, rather, if you prefer. So, and it makes sense, from, to me at least, for the Space Wolves to, stylize that rather than just go plain boring beaky.
Yeah.
It's we got the extra snout room, might as well make it look like a wolf.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, I saw this and I thought, yeah, they look silly, but I kind of like them. I think was sort of where I sat on them. Was like, I think they are silly. I do think they are silly, and I don't think, as much as the thing with the Space Wolves kit is, I always remember I think it's the pack kit, there is one wolf helm for a Grey Hunter in Mark 7 armor, and it always struck me as having a wolf helm, an actual wolf helm, would be kind of a big deal. I would expect that to be something that only the sergeants of the squad would have. They might have that. With the one with the wolf head that's gem and the top knot being for the sergeant, yes, absolutely. Maybe you might have some alternative markings, maybe they're a bit more pared back, or they've got woven additions to them. But I'm not mad that they've done it. I'm just surprised they did it for every single one, is sort of my take on it. I thought they'd done a lot more unhelmeted heads than just one.
Yeah, but then again, sculpting hair and beards and that is awkward as fuck, I can imagine, because of all the little details you got to put in. I reckon it's a lot easier to do a more, mechanical wolf head than doing, big hairy beardy man.
Yeah, especially...
I would imagine.
Especially in, I think these upgrade kits are actually resin as well, so they're even more of a pain to sculpt.
Yeah, because I see some people saying, they're basically making 30k Space Wolves, the 40k Space Wolves, and that how they're furries, whatever, by giving them wolf heads. But I'm just thinking, yeah, but they already gave some Space Wolves, wolf helmets, like the Death Swan, they have wolf skull helmets, so why should it be any, different when, a Grey Hunter squad effectively gets, wolf helmets as well.
Yeah, I think...
The hate doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think people have gone all in on just memeing the ever-loving bejesus out of them. I think part of the comes back to what I was just saying about... I don't think every single one of because the way it comes across, like every single Mark 6 Space Wolf had these. I know that's not the case, and I know that's probably not what they mean, but given that you buy the Tactical Marine kit and then you get the Legion heads to go with them, it gives the illusion that every Mark 6 Space Wolf wore this type of helmet, which, whilst absolutely that's possible, I just think take the Death Sworn, as you mentioned, they're an elite, unique unit, so they get that unique thing to them of having wolf skull helms.
Yeah.
I think it's that loss of uniqueness that does it for me, rather than the fact that it exists or looks silly.
I mean, I don't even think it looks silly. I mean, it's no more silly than anything else in 40k, let's be bloody honest. I mean, if it bothers you people that much, you don't need to use every single, wolf helmet or even any of the wolf helmets at all. Or you can just, mix and match, have, a squad, have, maybe, 2 or 3 of them in a squad while the rest have regular Mark 6 or something. I don't know. I mean, granted, it makes more sense, like I said before, it makes more sense for Mark 6 helmets to be stylized like a wolf's head rather than, say, Mark 2 or Mark 3, because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and can we also point out that since we're here, the Dark Angels took Mark 6 helmets and turned them into Mark 3 helmets. Lest we forget, they're quite willing to chop and change things around in these legions in terms of doing different stuff. The Imperial Fist did it, the Dark Angels have done it, and I'm sure there's others that I'm just not thinking of that I'm not thinking of. Even the blooming World Eaters did it, because they took the Mark 6 helmet, the Mark 6 upgrade kit that they've got, literally they're Mark 5 helmets. They're not even Mark 6.
Now, I'm wondering, would people react the same way if, say, a Mark 6 upgrade kit came out for, say, the Salamanders and they were all stylized after dragon heads? Would people complain then?
I don't know. In fact, comments. That's a good question. Along with all the things you normally do for us, like asking questions, let us know if they did draconic helms as the Salamander upgrade kit
for Mark 6.
For Mark 6, because it fits the design. Would that be an issue for you? / would you see it in the same light as you see the Space Wolves? Is it just Space Wolves, ha buddy, point finger at Space Wolf because furry? Or is it a genuine design issue? That's a very good point you bring up, Rem. I hadn't thought of that.
Because I'll be honest, Dragonhead Mark 6 upgrades for Salamanders, I'd be all over that shit.
Oh, it would look really bloody cool. And also, the amount of conversion possibilities that come out of it, hello, yes, please.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what people have to say about that. However, while we're here on the heresy, since we've done the Wolves and we've done the World Eaters, let's talk about today's Heresy Thursday. That Emperor's Children Praetor, baby.
Oh, that actually does look really nice. I actually really like it's got effectively like a hawk beak on the helmet.
Yeah, it does. Because it's a Tartarus Praetor, which you don't get many of. Most of them have been Cataphracti.
I think the reason I chose Tartarus is because Tartarus generally has a much cleaner appearance compared to Cataphracti.
And it's more agile as well, which suits swordsmen rather than something like axemen or hammers or whatever. It sort of suits them. They're not too fussed about getting hit because they're not going to get hit. They're the Emperor's children.
The funny thing is, you look at it, if you just gave a different paint job and got rid of the number 3 iconography for it, you could probably use this as a 1,000 Sun Praetor because it got, especially with the wings, the big gems and all that. You can make it look very very much like Ra. I was going to say Horus, but I don't want to confuse with the other Horus.
Yeah. I see what you mean. I think because the Aquila is such an Emperor's Children thing, especially because it's a twin-headed eagle, the one that makes me think of what I'd love to turn this into is a Custodian.
Oh, yeah, Custodian, yeah.
Because you've got, just change some of the colour palettes around, dye the purple gold and maybe do the trim in silver. All the wings and the eagle and the skulls and the laurels, all that stuff is stuff the Custodians use. The Falchion that he's using looks like a Custodian power sword, slightly. All you'd really need to do is change the gun, and I'd call that. I'd look at that and say, yeah, that's Custodian Terminator.
The funny thing is, get rid of the number 3, and you could, no joke, you could use it as an Ultramarine because the marking on this bit, it looks very much like the Ultima.
The Laurel Wreath and Skull, you mean?
Underneath the Aquila on his chest plate.
Oh, the crotch plate.
Yeah, it looks very much like the Ultima.
Yeah, I see that actually. Yeah, that would work.
You could very much just use it straight as an Ultramarine.
Yeah, and because the Ultramarines, their weapon of choice often a Gladius, yeah, absolutely you could. So yeah, I think this is a really fantastic model, full stop, but also it's a very flexible model in terms of how you can use it if you don't want to use it in Emperor's Children.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm trying to remind myself, were the Phoenix Guard Terminators in Cataphractii, or were they in Tartarus?
I think they were in Tartarus.
Because it normally would make sense if the Praetor and the thingy were in the same armour.
Another look on Forge World.
Yeah, I'm trying to look.
About 10 minutes. It might take me 10 minutes doing it with one arm.
No, found it. Yeah, they are. They're in Tartarus with their halberds. Yeah, I just had to do a quick Google image search.
And they're out of stock.
But yeah, I think, yeah.
Oh god, I've only just noticed the price for that. A squad of 5, £61.50.
Holy Kamos, Batman.
Like, how much is that per Terminator?
62 over 5 is...
£12.30 a Terminator.
Yeah, give or take.
Fucking hell.
Ridiculous.
Back in my day.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Forge World and Heresy is not going to be expensive to buy into, but I think now, at least I'm glad they're doing the Heresy plastics. And just as a note, I think this week's pre-orders are the Heresy plastic kits separately. The Cataphractii, the Praetors, the Spartan, all the stuff from Age of Darkness is coming out separately this week.
Last episode, speaking of pre-orders, did we mention how Marduk Cedrus is now on pre-order?
I think he officially went on pre-order on the 5th. Which
it'll be delivered. Pre-order product will be delivered from the 12th.
Yeah, so that wasn't a thing by the time the last episode was made. It was only announced on the day that it was last Friday. It was on Friday that they announced it.
Okay, so we might have actually put it in. No, we didn't know it.
We didn't know.
My mind's not in it yet. Email recovering from surgery.
No, you're all right. You're all right. Right. So yes, that's everything heresy related covered. I mean, there's a lot going on. Definitely good, bad, indifferent. Lots going on. Where I would like to go next, if it doesn't behoove you too much, is Kill Team. Because they've actually done a full deep dive into the Dark Kill Team box, the Space Hulk box.
Oh, yeah.
So they've actually shown all the models and all the kits that you're getting in there. I'll whip the article your way in case you missed it. So we get a full look at the Imperial Breacher team and the Farstalker Kinband Kroot team. And there's some really, really cool models in there. Like, we'd already seen some of this teased at the Specialist Games preview that I've forgotten the official name of a couple of weeks ago. But the models in here are just really cool. You've got shotguns, axes, Auspex, proper riot shield, what looks like a Gatling las cannon, but not quite, like a Gatling las thing. I'm sure it has an official...
Multi-laser, probably.
Could be a multi-laser, yeah, that's a good point. As well as all this other stuff, and like a chain fist, which is a really appropriate weapon, and a little Geist skull, which is a dead breacher's skull holding a compact explosive, just as you do the Imperium of Man, ladies and gentlemen, and Xenos of all ages.
It is adorable.
But no, the Imperial breachers look really cool to me.
And then you got the Kroot.
And then you got the Kroot. I'm not overwhelmed by how good the Kroot are. Like, they're nice, don't get me wrong. There's some really cool stuff here, like the one with the
peg leg.
Yeah, there's a one with a peg leg and the rifle. The Kroot hounds look really short. Like, really short. Not like, I didn't short height, short length. I thought they'd be longer than that.
Compact.
Yeah, I guess that's the word we're looking for. Like, they don't have a tail. They have like a beak of sorts, but they just feel really like they're missing like a tail or something like that to look reasonable to me. They don't look balanced.
I think the reason why is basically it's a redesign from the original Crew Hounds, which had like a much larger head, and I think it's just they've redesigned it so to be more proportionate to the body.
Yeah, I think so. But no, I like what they've done with the crew, and I think it's a right step. It's a step in the right direction for the crew. And I think there's some really cool models. The one with the eagle, I want to know what that blooming tri-bow blaster thing is about and what that does, because that sounds really cool. There's a proper
BFG,
a proper sniper, the bowcaster thing that we've seen before, the one with a pulse rifle as well. There's some really cool models here, but I'm not overawed with them. Like, if I had to choose a team from this box to play, I'd play the Breachers. And I know that's a bit heretical coming from a Tau player, but it's true.
I just noticed the terrain that's in the box is like Zone Mortalis stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, because Into the Dark and all this sort of series of stuff for Kill Team is taking place on a Space Hulk. So it should reflect a lot of Zone Mortalis Space Hulk style designs and gameplay. I should hope. But I don't know all the details about how it plays. I'm sure those more in the know would be able to help with that.
Yeah.
But no, so that's Kill Team, Into the Dark. Plenty of cool stuff there. I want to go Necromunda next because they're doing a narrative expansion.
Oh, yes. What's it called again?
It's called Cinderak Burning, the Aranthian Succession.
Oh, yeah, because this is actually now taking place effectively in present day now, isn't it?
Yeah, so to read the article directly, as if the aftermath of the Great Rift wasn't enough, Gerontius Helmore, undisputed Lord of Necromunda, lies in medical stasis after a failed assassination attempt. The moves and shakes of Necromunda have reacted with all the dignity you'd expect, and the planet faces a desperate scramble for power. So it includes a long, twisting timeline of events with dark prophecies, power shortages, global storms, and wasteland sieges with 50 pages of lore, and to play through part 1 of the new Succession campaign, with 12 scenarios across Ash Wastes, Mechanicus, and Zone Mortalis, and stuff to carry forward into future expansions. So there's plenty...
Extended rules for Escher and Goliath, including unique vehicles.
And petrolhead gang tactics, and something they've taken from the Heresy books, Dramatis Personae, who actually get rules as well. So Lady Hera, the 13th daughter, who has terrifying arcane weaponry from an earlier age. Oh yes. Yes, please.
I just like the little thing they put in saying, I was a scramble for power between nobles, clans, guilds, and every single heir to spring from Helmore's dalliances, be they legitimate, illegitimate, highlighted with Cal Jericho, or apocryphal, highlighted with Gore Halfhorn.
Yeah, I hadn't clocked that. Okay, yeah, that's funny. Hadn't clocked that.
Because remember, in lore, the rumour is that Gore Halfhorn is one of Helmore's bastards, even though there's no actual proof to that.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to sort of do a summary. Go on.
I was going to say, speaking of Necromunda, we've actually got some, Necromunda DLC this week as well. The Lost Charter scenario, which includes rules for Psyker Ogrins.
Yes, it does. It's a really cool little scenario. I've actually had a read of it, about how it all works and all of that. I wouldn't go out your way and read it like a blooming proper lore novel, but it's an interesting read nonetheless about squats against a bunch of outlaw gangers who've somehow managed to turn an Ogrin into a Psyker, which is a nice, fun twist.
Psychic Ogrins be like, me smash, zap. Oopsie. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, appropriate. So yes, plenty of fun stuff going on for Necromunda, and actually, as much as I don't play Necromunda, and I don't think I will, I'm very glad to see that they're not just treating Necromunda as a game, they're actually giving it lore and, well, not just old lore being updated, but actually moving the story of Necromunda forward. I actually quite like that they've bothered to do that, because they could have very easily just left it as a sandbox skirmish game and called it a day, but they haven't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, we'll see what happens in terms of the Aranthian succession and all of that. Right. There was, as Rem mentioned earlier, a Middle-earth preview, literally a whole preview dedicated to Middle-earth, where they revealed a new box game, a bunch of battle hosts, which are like the army boxes, Glorfindel, Elrond got a model, okay, cool. Faramir got a new model, which was immediately memed by it should have been Boromir because, stupid nonsense from the Lord of the Rings films. But yes, there's plenty of stuff there for Middle-earth, but I'm not interested, and I know probably the majority of people listening are not, so I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it. I will say, though, the sculpts are getting better because they've lost the Uncanny Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a big issue, I remember we talked about this on the podcast a few years ago, where some of the Middle-earth miniatures, particularly those of characters who were known characters, represented by actors, proper ones, were looking a bit silly in terms of like the faces, especially looking just odd. And we seem to have fixed that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Elrond looks exactly like he does in the films, but it's depicted from, I think, the time of the Battle of the Five Armies, so it doesn't have to.
They also revealed some more of these squat trikes, going back to 40k briefly.
Yeah, we got 2 squat previews this week, actually, because they did something else at the start of the cycle. But yeah, we'll start with the trikes.
Yeah, I like the fact that one of them's got a big turret on the back.
Yes.
Someone who looks like they're absolutely freezing their balls over the sides of their coat.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that they're not all just one-kin vehicles. Like, you can have them being ridden shotgun or not. Which is something you don't often see, is that it's like the bikes having an attack bike in Space Marines, back when Space Marine bikes were the only type of bikes that existed. Hello, Outriders, goodbye, Outriders. But yeah, it's nice to have like the attack bike variant, essentially.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
what was the other squat thing then?
The Berserks.
Oh yeah, like the mini Marnius Calgar guy.
Yes, so these are the Chthonian Berserks. There's no R for Berserk, it's Berserks, which is a bit silly. And these are representing the mining guild. We talked a bit, actually, an episode or 2 ago about the different guilds of the Votann. I think it was last episode, actually, we talked about it. And these are the warriors that represent the mining guilds. And as you'd expect, they are big, chunky, very chunky, and have some really powerful melee weapons. Plasma axes, concussion mauls, and the like. And I think they're a really interesting set of miniatures. Very different to anything that we've seen from the Votann so far.
Oh yeah. Makes you wonder how many drugs they're pumped full of, doesn't it?
Well, they'll have been gene-modified, especially for physical strength and endurance, so over multiple generations.
So which one's Scott Steiner?
That would be the one... No, he's got a mechanical skull, never mind. But... the one thing I really like about this model, as much as we could probably debate which one is Scott Steiner all day, is some of them I think would be really good for like a variant of Ogre Kingdom's armies. Sorry, Ogre or Mordor, to give them their proper name. Because the Iron Guts in those armies have two-handed weapons. And these kind of, you could pass them off. Well, maybe not pass them off, but if with a bit of conversion or green stuff work.
Wouldn't they be a bit small?
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Considering, Ogre, rather large model, Squad, rather small model.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about the size proportions for a second because they're so chunky. Yeah.
An army of midget ogres, there you go.
Yeah, I can't really think of any...
Oglets, there we go.
Baby ogres, yeah. But no, I can certainly see some real cool applications of these guys, and I think it gives the squat army a proper melee option, because pretty much everything we'd seen of them so far, they've got their basic warriors with guns, their Hearthguard with their big exosuits, or a sort of mixed attacker with big guns, and then a melee option, kind of like Terminators. But these guys are dedicated proper line breaker melee smashers, so I think it's good that they've got that variety in their army.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Plus the aesthetics, it's a completely different aesthetic. You can see bits of the squat equipment in there, but they don't look like Leagues of Votann or squats in the same way.
It looks very diesel punk.
Yeah, steampunk's definitely the wrong word, and cyberpunk, it's definitely not that either. So yeah, diesel punk. I heard that phrase before, but no, it's an appropriate one.
Suppose you've not heard of the term diesel punk.
Yeah, I don't know. Steampunk, cyberpunk, definitely, but diesel punk just passed me by. Don't quite know how. Right, one more piece of news, and this is a book which is getting a limited edition. It's already out, or about to be out, I think in this week's pre-orders. It's on pre-order this week, which is War Boss by, is it Mike Brooks?
Mike Brooks.
Yeah, Mike Brooks.
Mike Brooks, yeah.
This looks really, 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 really cool.
I thought you were going to say really, really, really expensive.
Well, yes, that too. But I mean, you get a lot for your money, whatever the value is. You've got the book itself, War Boss, which we'll talk about the story in a minute, the Grot Boss Manifesto, an illustrated book and short story, a full map, a blooming bumper sticker, just for fun.
That says, my other truck's a Boom Dacker Snazwagon.
Yeah, of course. And then teeth as well, just why not? So you can use them as objective markers, apparently.
They are numbered.
Yeah, it's about you can use them as objective markers as well, which is really kind of fun.
Or if you want a really in-depth orc cosplay, there you go, you got some authentic teeth to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the story itself, it's basically they are pretty much about to conquer a fortress world, and the war boss died. What happens now? That's
basically,
sort of
I would assume a fight breaks out between the biggest orcs trying to discern dominance.
Yes, it says, as the biggest and baddest bosses step forward to duke it out to become the next war boss, the gods have other plans, a prophecy of a mysterious gate beneath the human city. The one true war boss will be the first to find it and turn the galaxy green. So you've got a Blood Axe General, a Speed boss, a Goth boss, and also a blooming Grot boss as well. So there'll be a Grot revolution going on underneath all of it. So lots of fun stuff there.
Now, I wonder if this will prove my theory video right about could a Grot ever lead a war? If we could have a Grot war boss actually taking control and becoming the war boss, that'd be interesting.
Well, they're looking to, say, turn the tide of Grot oppression. But yes, it could be very interesting to see how they go with that. So yes, lots of fun stuff there. I'm pretty sure at least one person atted Wib saying you're going to buy this for the Grot Manifesto.
That was me.
It was you. Yeah, I thought it was you.
Oh, speaking of books, because I don't actually see it listed on Warhammer Community, but it was actually shared via their Twitter. They're actually doing a reissue of the Witch Hunter's Handbook.
Yeah, I saw this on social media, but I didn't really go anywhere with it. What is it for those who are uninitiated, like me?
It's effectively like the Warhammer Fantasy version of the Imperial Infantryman's Handbook, but for witch hunters.
Okay, fair enough. Sounds like it could be quite.
So it's like an in-universe source book, essentially.
Sounds fun. I think it'd certainly be for those who it's written. I think it's a fantasy book, isn't it, rather than an AOS book?
Yeah, because it came out like years ago originally.
Yeah, it's Darius Hinks, it says here.
It is, yeah.
So yes, those of you who like your fantasy lore or may want to brush up a bit, by all means go give that a look. But yes, I mentioned earlier about the pre-orders. Oh my god, this week's pre-orders are stupid that have gone on pre-order on Saturday. So brace up. All this stuff is on pre-order this week. The Warcry main game box has got a second week on pre-order. There's also the Liber Astartes and Liber Hereticus army books are getting EPUBs and things like that. Yeah. The Dark Angels get their upgrade kits. Marduk Cedras is coming out. There's also made-to-order Emperor's Children shoulder pads for Mark III, Mark II, Mark IV torsos, White Scars Mark II, White Scars Mark IV shoulders are all going on made-to-order. Warhammer Plus has a bunch of stuff, including some White Dwarfs I really recognise. Hello, the second and third White Dwarf I ever bought. And, oh wait, hang on, have I got the wrong week?
You've got the Sakaran Battle Tank, the Spartan Assault Tank, a Contemptor Dreadnought, Leviathan Siege Dreadnought, Cataphracti Squad, Tartarus Squad, the Legion Praetor from the Age of Darkness box set being sold separately, Iron Warriors upgrade kits, Age of Darkness Armigers, the Liber Mechanicum, so the Mechanicum army list for Horus Heresy is being put on pre-order. And then for Warhammer Underworld, you got Hexbane's Hunters Warband. The Elven Union Blood Bowl pitches coming out as well.
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong week. That was the ones that are coming out this week or on for pre-order last week. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong page. Sorry, my bad.
Nice. There was also a novel announced for going on pre-order that came out of nowhere. One called Outgunned.
Yeah.
Which looks interesting. So when Imperial propagandist Kyle Simlex is sent to make a cinema pic about legendary flying ace Lucille von Shard, he discovers she's not quite what he expected. And I love the cover because it reminds me very much of like a 1950s movie poster in a way.
Yeah, the art style very much, and the text as well. So yeah, I like that a lot. It looks like they're going to be fighting against orcs. Looking at the planes in the background, looks like kind of like a Dakar jet, and
it's always against bloody orcs. Let's be honest, all the air combat novels are always against orcs.
Yeah, this is true. But yeah, that is a really interesting book. And Denny Flowers, I think, is a new author.
I think he is as well. I've not heard of him before, so
yeah. Also worth noting, Godblight's going on pre-order. The Last Dark Imperium book
for a paperback.
Oh, yes, sorry. And the Warhammer Crime Wraithbone Phoenix book is going into paperback, ebook, and audiobook, so that's new. A Fabius Bar Omnibus, in case you missed the 3 Josh Reynolds books. And there's also a paperback version of one of the Iron Snakes books too, so...
Magister and the Martyr.
That's the one. So there's plenty going on. Oh, and that's the first White Dwarf I ever bought. And Codex Militarum Tempestus. Oh my god, I remember you in the Warhammer Vault. I remember that thing. What is that doing there? Oh god, what a throwback.
Oh, speaking of like the Vault and Warhammer Plus and all that, they announced, they showed a little teaser in regards to the next models for the subscription bonus thing.
Yeah, because they're going into their second year now, aren't they?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm generally surprised it's actually lasted this long. Not gonna lie. Just because of how frosty everyone's reception was at first.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the characters that's been teased, it looks very much like a very classic piece of Chaos Space Marine art.
Yeah, it looks like a Terminator with chain fists, as well as a Chaos Sorcerer.
Trying to think what was it's right, Index Chaotica. Trying to type shit of one is fucking annoying.
Yeah, I can imagine it is. But it's good to see that they're actually doing not just another Imperial or another Stormcast for this stuff. I think that makes a nice change.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, the character, the Shrouded Chaos Terminator, it's a very, very old piece of art that's been around since, like, at the very least, 2nd edition, possibly actually the tail end of 1st edition, and it was actually used on the cover for the Index Chaotica book.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see it. Okay, that's really cool.
I think that character was actually given a name later down the line. I can't remember.
Either way, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be honest, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that they actually are doing a model based on a very old piece of artwork. That's always a nice thing. The only downside is you have to be a subscriber to Warhammer Plus to get it.
Mm.
I kind of wish you had the option to buy this one separately, because this is a model I actually would buy, personally.
Yeah, and the Chaos Sorcerer that they've got as well, I'm assuming that's must be what it is, the AOS version.
Yeah, it was one that was actually in the rumour engine, funnily enough.
No, either way, wherever it's come from, it looks really cool as well. Like, it's got a horned head, yeah. The Chaos Star, the staff looks sick. So, yeah. Warhammer, I mean, to be fair, the first year's Warhammer Plus models, the Vindicator Assassin in the statue is a really cool miniature as well. The Warhammer Plus miniature, as much as we dig on Warhammer Plus, and will continue to do so forever, it's the miniatures they do to accompany it are very good, and it is annoying that they don't sell them separately, or even, like, you know these two that are going on last chance, why not, sell them, maybe in 3 to 6 months' time? Because you know they will.
Or at the very least, if you're going to sell them as well as from, Warhammer Plus subscriptions, make them available at Warhammer World at the very least.
Yeah, something like that.
Because, Warhammer World, we know they sell exclusive models down there, that Space Marine Command Rhino and Command Land Raider.
Yeah, I've been there and I've seen some of the unique stuff.
So, to be honest, if they just released it there outside of Warhammer Plus, I wouldn't have an issue with that personally, because, okay, well, it's a bit of a faff to get it, but at least you can still get it without forking out a Warhammer Plus subscription, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, what is a Warhammer Plus subscription again? Is it, £11 a month?
Something like that.
I can't actually remember what it costs. I'm going to go and have a look, because I'm not actually going to do it, but I just want to go see what it costs. I'm just going to look at Warhammer Plus. $5.99 a month. $4.99 a month.
So I just see $5.99 a month or $59.99 per year. And please excuse my shitty American accent.
Yes, £4.99 or £50 for the year.
So basically, for those models, you're paying for. Oh no, you don't get it, because what they did, they give you a link so you can go and buy it. So you have to pay for it on top of that.
No, it says claim, not purchase.
Oh, thank fuck.
It does say claim.
I was just saying, they give you a link. It's here's your link to the model. Okay, that's now £25. Fuck off.
Though, I will say, if you are a new existing subscriber and you stay subscribed throughout September, you get, if you get a subscription in between the 25th and 31st of August, and then pay the extra month. So you spend £10 on the 2 months, and then what they'll give you is a £10 voucher for the web store. So you get your money back as long as you spend it on Warhammer. And you also will be able to get the free miniature as well. You just claim it within the first month. Download everything you want out of the vault and then leave again. If you think of it that way, you could pay £10 a year to get one of the 2 unique miniatures, all the downloads you could need out of the vault, and call it a day. You might look at a couple of masterclasses if you want to use them, or watch a couple of animations that you'd heard something about online. But if you sneak it, you could probably only do it once. You'd have to pick your moment as to whether to do it, because you have to be a new or existing subscriber with an active subscription in that date time. But if you paid just £10 to get that Chaos Terminator and all the downloads you want out the vault before you leave, then, and you get the £10 back as long as you stay in September, it just goes on a voucher to the web store, so you just spend it on a model anyway. That's a way to do it. I think having it active all the time is not worth it. The animations are cool, and I think this Pariah Nexus, live action-y looking one, very detailed, hyper-realistic CGI one, Pariah Nexus, will probably be good, and Black Talon will probably be good, and Interrogator was apparently good, and Angels of Death was apparently good. But you could probably, if you pick him up, you see an event like a Warhammer Plus model you really want, it's a tenner, and you get it back as a voucher. I'm not saying it's worth it, necessarily, but it's just something to throw out there, especially at the moment, given how tight everything is, and you've got a very limited budget, as a lot of us do. It might be something, if you really want that miniature but don't want to shell out on Warhammer Plus, it's £10. And actually, if you're very clever, it says, before the end of August, you'll receive an email. Oh, annual subscribers will claim the minute. Oh. Never mind.
What?
Forget everything I just said. It's a scam. Forget it. It has to be an annual subscriber and pay the whole £50 to get that. Never mind. I was trying to be clever.
Never mind.
Boo. There was actually an article this week, though, that I did find quite interesting about Warhammer Alliance.
Oh?
they've done a bunch of interviews with different people who run Warhammer Alliance clubs around the world. Some in, there's one in Australia, one in Denmark, a couple in England, Italy, talking about that sort of thing. And it's just interesting that they read it about, talking about how it works, talking about what we do at these clubs, about the safe spaces, math, logic, and social skills. There's a school in Coventry that it mentions, for example, Woodfield, has a learning mentor, an inclusive and accessible space. It's just really interesting to read because running it's not, I don't know if it's officially a Warhammer Alliance club. I mean, I guess it is. It is, because they sent us all the free stuff at the start. Like, yeah, a lot of it rings true with me. And it's just nice to see that they're acknowledging, hey, we do a good thing. We can keep doing a good thing and hopefully get more schools and groups involved with this sort of thing. Because yes, please, more Warhammer Alliance groups. It's really good. Sorry, that's my inner teacher having a bit of a nerd moment because, yeah, Warhammer Club's really good. I really enjoy running a Warhammer Club. You should try it if you have a particular group of friends or if you work in education. You should run a Warhammer Club. It's really cool.
Is there anything else in the news?
No, I think we pretty much got it. I mean, there's a little bit about organised play, a little bit about Loremaster novels, Warcry rules. A Military of the Month is one of the Rotmeyer Warcry guys. That's all Middle-earth. So look at some Mechanicum rules. White Dwarf got a slight facelift. It looks slightly different, but oh well. No, I think we pretty much covered the news. And I think that's kind of convenient because, as I recall, there's a book or two on our agenda.
Yeah, I've not actually gotten around to reading the book I wanted because, hospital visit and all that. And
that's fine.
I did, however, in preparation for this episode, to try and make sure I talk about something at least, I read a short story instead.
Okay. Well, now let's start the section of, there's two different comments asking for different things. One's called Remleiz Reads, and the other is, 40k Theories Book Club? Yes, that was it. They were the two comments asking, can we do this? Can this be an actual series thing, please?
I'll be honest, I'm tempted to do the book club thing just so I can have, an intro thing that's just a shameless rip-off of Bullet Club's theme. Like book club, boom, 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 boom.
Good luck getting that one past cease and desist.
Yeah, because apparently New Japan's really, really, strict when it comes to copyright stuff. Even GIFs on Twitter, they take them down. It's mad.
Yeah.
So I might have to use the Impact Wrestling version, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. What did you read?
I read a short story called Unification, which is in the Warriors and Warlords anthology.
Oh, yeah, I think I have that anthology around somewhere.
The one that has the Primaris Chaplain on the cover.
Yes, I do. I think I have the ebook of it, but I never bothered reading it.
Yeah. So, this story, it's a short story, obviously, but it takes place over 3 separate time spans. During the Great Crusade, prior to this particular character's induction into Legion, and during the Siege of Terror. In that order. So, we start off during the course of the Great Crusade. The Death Guard are fighting against a Xenos race on a world. I've forgotten the world's name, but it's got a very complicated, long alien name. And the main character we follow is Vorks, who you may remember from the Lords of Silence novel. He was the main character.
Sorry, I didn't read that one.
That's alright. I did talk about it on the show previously, though, I swear.
Probably, but we go through so many books, it's hard to keep track of any particular one.
True enough. But anyway, so they're fighting against a race that's described as being humanoid insects with large wings and using particle beam weapons, and for some reason my mind instantly went Vespid. But I don't know if the Vespid were actually around then, but...
no, they wouldn't be, because that area of space was the Eastern Fringe where they live, so I don't think so.
Yeah. I will be honest, it would have been nice to see a Horus Heresy story at some point where we actually did see, the Vespid or the Kroot or something. Even if it's just hey, Ultramarines fight compliance, boom, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's two two great companies of Death Guard, and one very small detachment of Blood Angels also fighting alongside them.
Okay.
And the Death Guard seem kind of insulted, like, wait, you only sent, 2,000 warriors? We've got, 15,000. You only sent 2? Oh, fucking hell. Oh, it's because you don't like us, you think we smell. Kind of thing.
I mean, I'm sure the Blood Angel response is, that's all we'll need.
So they're fighting, against the aliens, and they're trying to advance upon the enemy, and they're basically, No Man's Land is just effectively just a quagmire, just mud everywhere.
Perfect for the Death Guard, then.
Oh, yeah. The Death Guard just marching slowly, because, just take your time, let the fear build in your enemy, let them know you're coming, let them know you're not worried about them. That just builds a terror up, which means there'll be easy targets for you to pick off down the line. Psychological warfare and all that.
And the Blood Angel's like, ew, it's on my arm, get it off. I know I'm being a little bit rude to them.
Effectively, that's what they were. They were, absolutely hated getting covered in the mud and the filth.
I was taking the piss.
No, they were like that. They were trying very hard to, not get the stuff muddy, but, the Death Guard would just let themselves get caked in the mud and the slime, and I was like, it also has the added benefit of giving us some battlefield camouflage. We don't give a toss, kind of thing. It's like, oh, you're getting your filigree dirty. Big whoop, never mind.
It'll wash out.
Yeah. So Vork's is basically trying to, form some sort of rapport with the Blood Angels captain. I've forgotten the captain's name. All I know is that it sounds like a sports car. If it's like Caramino or something like that,
Sounds about right.
Caramino takes out one of these aliens, and Volk's like, oh, good shot. And the Blood Angel's just like, mm-hmm. And Volk's like, you're not very talkative, are you? Further down the line, he can sense that the Death Shroud have just teleported in along with Mortarion, and they're basically wrecking shit on the aliens. And Volk's just like, do you see that? The Primarch is with us. We are honoured. And Caramino just basically turns around and says to Volk's like, how can anyone follow that skin and bones wretch and call him Primarch? Which is like, ooh, you got balls to shit talking Mortarion like that.
Yeah, you are dead later, son.
And Vork's just basically just looks at him like, the fuck do you say? And he actually starts monologuing, saying things like, I should just kill you and just say the aliens did it for saying shit like that.
I hope Sanguinius is around later, because otherwise you are going to meet the Reaper and you are not going to like it.
And he basically, reminds himself, I owe everything to Mortarion. And then we cut back several years prior, back to Barbarous. Back to when Vork's was a little baby. Well, a little child, rather. He wasn't actually a baby. He was a youngster.
Inductee age.
Inductee age, yes. Vork's with his family, it's in some remote valley, it's winter time, so everything's misty, soggy, damp, horrible, your typical weather for Scarborough, that kind of thing. And they sense a change on the wind, and they see something monstrous and large coming out of the mist towards the village. And it's a very large, gangly creature, white rubbery skin, a big massive grin on its face, huge clawed hands, huge big stompy feet. And the interesting thing, this creature is known locally as a Pale King.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's so that's where Mortarion got the name from. And this creature basically starts wrecking through the village. It starts tearing apart the thatched cottage Vork's family's in, and Vork's family are trying to fight off this creature with pitchforks, wooden metal spikes, kitchen knives, that kind of thing. And the Pale King's just tearing through his family. It kills the father, it kills the mother. It's about to kill Vork's. Vork's just tries to lunge at it in one last desperate attempt to have revenge for killing his family. Then Mortarion shows up and starts beating the shit out of the ever-loving shit out of the Pale King, as to be expected, because it's a fucking Primarch.
Yep, always.
The Pale King's screaming in pain and agony. Vork's is on the floor, stabbing it in the foot with this metal spike. And the other villagers come out with their pitchforks and are saying, hey, a Pale King's being wounded, it's being hurt, it's being killed. Let's finish it off, lads. Way! And they'll just basically gang rush the Pale King, and Pale King's ends up being torn apart. And they're like, turn to Mortarian's like, oh, thank you, Lord, we owe you everything. And they bow to her, and Mortarian's like, no, don't bow to me, you only bow to tyrants.
Okay.
It's like, haha, foreshadowing of everyone bowing before the Emperor, isn't it? And Mortarion says to the villagers, I'm basically building an army to stand against, the tyrants are barbarous, blah, blah. Will you fight alongside us? The villagers go, no. It's not our place to fight. We're not fighters. We're farmers. And Mortarion's basically like, well, I tried. He walks off back into the mist, and Vork's watches them go. He turns back to the villagers, and he turns back to where Mortarion wandered off to. He can't see him now because of the mist. Yeah. And he basically starts running after Mortarion.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah. And he's like running after him for like, it's implied that he's been chasing after him for like hours.
And falling behind with every step because it's a Primarch.
And then he eventually catches up because Mortarion basically like just ends up waiting for him and says to him, if you follow me, you're going to have an extremely hard life. It's going to be, nothing but strife, battle, blah, blah. Are you strong enough to do this? And Vork says, make me strong enough.
Okay, I mean, it's probably not what Mortarion wanted to hear, but it's a start.
And we cut to like a few years later, and Vork's is now part of Mortarion's armies on Barbarous, and they're fighting against the forces of the tyrants, and they're climbing up the mountainside. A whole bunch of the army are basically dying, even with their new makeshift respirators on, because the poisons of Barbarous are so great, as we know. Most of them still die. But Vork's remarks like, this is just weeding out those who are too weak to fight to begin with. Those who survive are strong enough, and we can take on the tyrants, blah, blah, blah. And they end up taking on a tyrant's army, and they win. Hooray!
Woo!
And then we cut forward to the Siege of Terra. Which is, they're basically wrecking in the walls, making a slow advance to corrupted Death Guard. And who does Vork's meet upon the field of battle? But Caramino! Yes. And Caramino effectively has been fighting non-stop for a week. So
that sounds about right for the siege.
And he's tired, he's exhausted. And Caramino recognizes Vork's and says to him, I should have slit your throat right there and then back on that world. And Vork's doesn't say anything in response. He just effectively does that, hand gesture as to say, bring it on kind of thing.
Yeah, just sort of the
And Vork's pretty effortlessly bodies Caramino. He just rams his scythe blade up through Caramino's chest. And he leans in close, and says the same words that Caramino said about Mortarion, skin and bones wretch.
Sick comeback burn. Ooh.
Yeah. And then he just says to him, like, I owe him everything. He made me strong. Kills him and says, like, let my stink be the last thing you ever remember. The end.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I would expect a Plague Marine who is probably a Death Shroud at that point, given he's got an actual scythe. He's either a captain or...
He is a captain.
Yeah, he's a captain. I would expect a fresh, Nurgle corrupted Death Guard captain to dispatch an absolutely exhausted Blood Angels. I just would. Like, I'm not dissing the Blood Angels there. I know how good they are in a fight, but at that point, against a fresh, corrupted Plague Marine with all the kit, you ain't winning.
No.
You just ain't.
No.
But nice comeback burn. Yes, well done. You remembered.
And it took about, 30 years?
Yeah, give or take. But still, it's interesting because obviously we do hear about these interlegion grudges that existed during the heresy. We remember the Crusade. You remember the big ones, like the Wolves and the Thousand Sons and the Word Bearers and the Ultramarines. You hear about those ones and you remember them, but
the Emperor's Children and the Iron Hands.
They were busy mates.
Yeah, and then during the Horus Heresy they became worst enemies.
Yeah, but you hear about the big ones, and then you've got like those little niggling grudges, like the issues between. I think there was an issue. Well, there's all sorts of little niggling things, like little stuff with the Salamanders and their methods of war. And then you'll have had issues with people butting heads with Rogel Dawn. I know Alfarius banged heads with Guilliman over something. though I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head.
I think it was Gilliman disapproving of Alpharius' methods of waging war.
Yes, I couldn't remember where. But yeah, there's all sorts of little niggling sibling rivalries and inter-legion issues because they're Space Marines. They have egos. Particularly back then, they have egos. You don't talk about it with Space Marines and all the indoctrination that make them these almost unhuman warriors. But they have personalities and they have an ego. And they can't really take it very well. They're very childish in that way.
Well, yeah.
Which makes sense.
Because basically what you do is take a bunch of children and turn them into genetically enhanced superhuman soldiers.
Yeah, all that teen angst and ego is still there because they never grew up. Oh, that was a depressing message to end that story on.
So in the end, smelly Death Guard man kills Blood Angel, who sounds like a sports car.
Yeah. Speaking of people being killed, I went and read Assassinorum Kingmaker. I'd started it before the last episode, but I finished it afterwards, and it was really bloody good.
Go on.
So, Assassinorum Kingmaker, here's the context. There is I think I told you this last time, there is a night world. I've forgotten its name, I probably should. Oh, Dominion, I think. Yeah, there's a night world called Dominion, and there is a crisis building on Dominion where there is an anti-imperial sentiment starting to grow in the background because the monarch, the High Monarch, I should say, who pilots the only Castellan-class knight they've got, the Baby Warlord class, Dominus, that's the word I'm looking for, who has the only Dominus-class knight on the world, is sick. And the Assassinorum get wind of this because they have agents all over the place. It's a bit like transmitting the Death Star plans, running and transmitting a message before being killed at the start. And the Assassinorum pick this up. It goes to the Assassinorum station and is immediately pinged to the Master of Operations on Terra itself. It's that serious. It goes back out to the base in Segmentum Pacificus, and we pick up with our main character, which is a Vindicare assassin by the name of Roth, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm just going to go and read it again. Wraith. So Wraith is a Vindicare assassin with...
Sorry, I just noticed, a silent assassin called Wraith. Ha!
I know. It's not spelt like that, but yes, I know.
I'm sure that was the intention anyway, let's be honest.
Probably, yeah. So Wraith has 49 kills to his name. One more, he gets 50. And at that point, he's basically a freelancer. I can't remember the exact... What's the name of the
They can become freelancers?
Not exactly, but they become Sicarius Primus, I think is the official title, where they can pick their own missions.
Oh, I was going to say, just freelancers, just handing out his business card on the phone, because hey, need a guy dead, call me.
Yeah, so Sicarius Primus, who can pick their own missions, set up their own teams, and often, and there's never been one in Segmentum Pacificus before, and he's on 49, and he gets given this task to take out the leader of the Night World. So the official briefing is an execution force, which is not easy to put together, which is quite rare, is dispatched to deal with this Night World, with Wraith leading it, a Vanus assassin, you don't see many of those around, the technological ones, and a Calidus called Sycorax. And those three are put together to take out the High Monarch and then manage the succession crisis by picking off people until we get an Imperial leader that we want. So that's the Assassinорum's mission, is to sneakily infiltrate, kill the leader of the Night World, which is an Imperial world, bear in mind, and then manage the succession crisis that will inevitably follow. The other subtext that's going on, there is a machine curse that all three of them have been exposed to at one point or another. Sycorax was impersonating someone to assassinate the tech priest behind it. tech priest is, heretic priest behind it. Wraith has been fighting against elements of it, and the Vannis, well, they're high tech anyway. So they were trying to deal with this worm. I can't remember its full name. It's a worm of some kind. This machine code virus. So that's context number one. Context number two, there is a Freeblade who they choose to impersonate. Well, that was the original plan. Anyway, Rakan, his name is. Or Rakan. I always said Rakan when I was reading it, but Rakan probably is more correct. And Sycorax has the implant that would allow her to pilot a knight. So, because of some previous mission, she was given the modification to allow her to interface with the Knight's Throne Mechanica. So that's why she's on the mission. And the original plan is kill Rakan, become him, go onto the world, and use him as sort of the setup. They soon realize this is not going to fly, because Rakan fled in disgrace after a failed assassination attempt of the High Monarch. Apparently. We'll get to that. And all this palaver. And there's so many courtly traditions and so much family history, because Dominion's weird. Dominion isn't controlled by one knightly house. It's controlled by two, due to a finick of Great Crusade era paperwork. Well, right. Pre-Great Crusade era paperwork. It's got two houses, both with a legitimate claim to the world. Strider and Rau. R-A-U, I used to call them Rau. It could be Raw, I guess, but I'm going to call them Rau. So you've got Strider and Rau. And the only people eligible to become High Monarch are people who have parents from both houses. So they have deliberate interbreeding between the two houses, and those who are from both can be on the list to become High Monarch. Rakan is on that list. Because he's got a Strider mother and a Rau father.
Okay.
I know I'm doing a lot of setup here, but it's all going to come together at the end, okay?
You're good.
Bear with me. So, they realise very quickly they can't just kill Rakan, because he knows too much. And also, the Knight's Throne Mechanicum will recognise that Sycorax is not Rakan and kill her. So, they keep Rakan and his... not tech priest, sacristan, that's the word, alive, and keep them hidden on their ship while they go to the world in order to teach her how to pilot the knight, how to interface, all the courtly intrigue, yada, 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 etc. Meanwhile, there is a massive battle of egos going on because no one thinks Wraith should be in charge. Because he's a Vindicare, they do things very much step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
Very by the book.
Well, not by the book, but certainly logical. Whereas the Vannis is like, got, like the conspiracy theory boards that you see. Yeah, that. She's got a million plates spinning at once. And is like literally doing things before Wraith has even realised that he's ordered her to do it. Type stuff. And he's getting pretty pissy about it. So the three of them have to settle all their beef. That's sort of the first act, is them dealing with Rakan and then settling their own issues before they go onto the world. And they're all kind of like, we're going to die here because we're not gelling as a team and this mission is bloody hard. We're probably all going to die. So they get there. The infiltration works, and Sycorax plays her part. And then they find the ship. The agents of the sort of one of the inner court finds the Assassinorum ship with the real Rakan alive on it.
Oh.
So now there's two Rakans in two places at once. They're rumbled. And so they have to deal with that fallout very quickly using all this stuff. And it all comes together at a grand tournament because it's just to celebrate Rakan's homecoming and the celebration, yada, yada, yada. And what happens is a lot very, very quickly. So Wraith meets with the head of security in disguise as one of her agents, and she doesn't buy that the men were taken out and that all the stuff with the fake Rakan and all this nonsense, didn't buy it at all. And then a bomb goes off, and everyone thinks, what the hell is going on? But it's not the Assassinorum. There's an attack from some like hinterlanders going on at the same time. Yeah, right. More palaver. At this point, Crown of Dominion, the Dominus Knight, is damaged. So Wraith thinks, fuck it, we're blown. Or even if we're not blown, fuck it, I'm going for it. And literally just parkours up this Dominus class Knight to go and kill the High Monarch at point blank range. The void shields and all that are down. It's deactivated because it's not being used to fight. It's a ceremonial Knight. It does fight, but it's pretty badly damaged. And he gets into the Throne Mechanicum, and the High Monarch's already dead. Before he got there. So that's a problem. Then he has to try and make a runner for it while Sycorax, pretending to be Rakan, is hunting him down in her Knight, and she has to kill him. Well, she thinks she does. Luckily, he's planted his Special Assassin mask on a random civvy and legged it. So luckily he gets away. And then the succession crisis begins. So that's the end of Act 2. We've killed the High Monarch. He was already dead in his Knight. The Knight was just working on autopilot. We'll get to that. And the Assassinorum are kind of blown, but also not because they think the Vindicator's dead. What follows is a complicated game of kill each person until we get a candidate we want. Because they need to make sure that through all the courtly intrigue, they don't have any pro-secession candidates or anti-Guilliman candidates make it to High Monarch to avoid secession.
Yeah.
You follow?
Yeah.
And they do. Various people go out and do various jobs and pick off until they get a candidate they want. Who is the son of the leader of House Rao, as I recall. Yes. Which is not pleasing to Rakan's mother, who is the leader of House Strider, but they're kind of out of options. She just relents and goes, fine. So they have the coronation ceremony. He is embedded into the Throne Mechanicum and gives his announcement, people of Dominion, House Strider and Rao, we can unite as one against our common enemy, Guilliman.
Oh.
Fuck. Because what's happened is, flashback, in a previous battle, the Crown of Dominion got infected with the Conqueror Worm virus.
Oh dear.
So the Throne Mechanicum is corrupted. The previous monarch, who was so powerful, was able to hold it back and keep himself going until he died in it. And the new monarch is nowhere near as powerful mentally to resist the Conqueror Worm. And he's gone.
Oh dear.
On top of that, all the armigers have also been corrupted because of exposure through their sacristans. And they, because they can be mind-linked to the upper knights, sort of the standard class knights, the Questoris class, have corrupted the Questoris knights as well. And then the Chaos Knight household, I think it's Morvain, teleport down because they're originally from Dominion. And now we have a civil war on our hands.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. I know I keep saying that a lot, but it's appropriate response.
Yeah, it escalates very quickly and very crazily. Meanwhile, the original Rakan, who didn't die back earlier when the security forces found his ship because they were torturing him and he was saved by Wraith, is called down by an old dream of his father and an old phrase in the family. What is the duty of a wounded knight? It just keeps coming up throughout the book. And eventually he gets the answer and he finds another Dominus Knight. His family on the Rao side hid away. Well, I say hid away. It's hard to explain, but in order to not have two Dominus class knights on the world, so that there was one leadership, Rao's knight sort of disappeared. It's almost gone into myth, like a green giant. I think they literally call it the green giant. And yes, I'm thinking of the Sweet Corn advert too.
Green giant.
Quite. Which is the melee variant of the Dominus Knight. And Rakan...
Is that the one with the harpoon?
Yes, the harpoon one.
Right.
And Rakan just is able to interface with it because it's his family's knight. Like, his father's line going back is the owner of that knight. So he just comes out and pilots it. And so we get a full-on civil war. You've got Sycorax pretending to be Rakan in Rakan's Knight. Rakan in hiding, in secret, piloting the Green Giant Dominus Knight. And all their knights arrayed against the Crown of Dominion and House Morvayn and all the traitors they got pulled away, including Rakan's own mother. She was corrupted by the Conqueror Worm. And the Assassinorum's mission sort of splits into three. The Vanus Assassin goes after the High Sacristan. Sycorax is in the night trying to kill the new leader, and Wraith is just waiting for a shot. So what they do essentially is they work together, Sycorax and Wraith, to overload the Crown of Dominion shields and turbo penetrator to the face through the command throne. This unfortunately destroys the Crown of Dominion, which they were told explicitly not to do, but needs must. It's a Chaos Knight now. It needs to go. So they blow that up and the Chaos Knights make their withdrawal. It's a big fancy battle. I'm simplifying for speed. Meanwhile, the Vanus Assassin kills the High Sacristan, but dies in the attempt.
Right.
So Wraith writes his report. Rakan's Sacristan becomes the new High Sacristan. Rakan of House Rao and a woman from House Strider become joint High Monarchs to prevent this stupid, complicated succession system, with two Dominus Knights, the Green Giant and a new one. One stays at home and guards the world. One goes on crusades. There's never two Dominus Knights on the world at once. And Wraith writes up his report, sort of says, we each get a third of the kill. I don't want 50. And I'll quote from the book. At this point, no one wants a Sicarius Primus. They sent me on that mission to kill me. Best case, I'm poached by operations and spend the rest of my life planning other operative missions dealing with Terran politics. But if you don't claim the kill, you stay operational. And 1/3 credit, no one's going to accept it. They'll all argue until no one gets the kill, but as mission commander, I can always revise it and give myself the kill, meaning that with a single click of a button, I get Primus status. So I get leverage. We've been used by the Assassinorum, so let's turn the tables and use them for a change. Which is kind of nice. And the final sort of epilogue, the sting, is during the attack on the High Sacristan, the Vanus Assassin finds an astropath. An Assassinorum planted astropath.
Oh.
The coin-shaped subliminal astropathic vox implant in his brain was missing. So something, it isn't clear exactly in here what was going on, but if she knew at that point she couldn't come back alive, because if she did, the Inquisition would start digging. She'd be told to forget and sent until her convenient death removed all memory. Because the implant had not stopped transmitting. Whoever took it had cracked the Vanus encryption and was sending Assassinorum messages that she could not decrypt.
Ooh.
Except for one word, vendetta. So this Vanus assassin has faked her own death and gone rogue, hunting down whatever the Assassinorum are up to. And there's the sting.
That's sequel bait, yep.
Maybe, but I know I went on for like 20 minutes about that book, but Robert Rath, I think it was Robert Rath.
Yeah, it was Robert Rath now.
Yes, you are bloody brilliant. That was amazing. It was literally, I read the back half of the book in like 2 days. It was so good. I really, really enjoyed Kingmaker. I hope there is another one following up with particularly the mission of the rogue Vanus assassin. Yes, please, even if it's just a short. Yes, please. So, yeah. Sort of like I talked about last week with, what was the book I was discussing last week? Day of Ascension. I know I've spoiled it, but go and bloody read it. Because it's really bloody good.
Fair enough.
So yes, that's Assassinorum Kingmaker, a very good book, very well written, and very intriguing, because we don't get Assassinorum stories much, if at all. So getting inside the heads of the assassins and also having to see them interact with actual other people and each other is something you really don't see, because execution forces are so bloody rare.
True.
So, plus you get the politics of a night world, a really complicated night world. You've got amazing world building with this Conqueror worm thing, which turns out to be Chekhov's bloody gun. And a nice thing in the tail as well. Loads of really cool writing, lots of backhanding and backstabbing, as well as just good old-fashioned 40k nonsense. Yes, please. More of that.
As I say, it's a good thing you clarified in regards to not from no Assassin stories to not many Assassin stories, because I was about to point out Nemesis.
Yes, I know. There are a few. And Wrath has written about 4 or 5 shorts as well. I was looking in the little credits at the back. But there are not many stories about Assassinorum, even less about execution.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nemesis is a heresy story when the Assassinorum was kind of new. So it's, just really, really good. I really enjoyed it because you've got Night Worlds, you don't see them very often. The Assassins, you don't see them very often. Vanus Assassins, I don't think I've ever seen a Vanus Assassin in a book before.
Nemesis.
Apart from that. But no, it's just really, 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 really good. So yes, well done, Robert Rath. Good book. I recommend you go and read it if you are inclined in any sort of intrigue-based or just, like the idea of assassins or knightly combat, because you get both.
Well, it's good to know then, isn't it?
Indeed. I haven't decided what I'm going to get next because I'm basically a little bit out of money this month, but I think I'm going to try and get the Lumineth book, and I'm going to try and get one or two.
Whatever it is.
Godspeed, that's the one. Yeah. And I want to get 1 or 2 more. I'll have a look again on Black Library. I think one of us needs to pick up that Dogfighter book as well, Outgunned. So plenty of stuff for us to explore, and I'm sure you've got, obviously I know once you're a bit more recovered and able to actually turn a page, you'll be back on the reading grind.
Oh yeah, because I still really want to get through the final Vaults of Terror book, just because I want to know how that story ends.
Yeah, it's one of those of setup, payoff. Oh, that's it, the Ahriman book. That's the one I want, the Ahriman books. I want to know how that story ends too.
Yeah, I'm just very confused in regards to, yes, let's hunt down the Inari. Fuck it, let's hunt down the Necrons instead, because Games Workshop doesn't care about the Inari anymore.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, that is that. I mean, it still doesn't make sense to me, okay, I know the Inari exist. I know they can reverse the rubric. I know they can restore my brothers to life. So I'm going to hunt down the Necrons instead. Why?
Unhelpful, yeah. I mean, it could be that this is because Ahriman, the last Ahriman book took place long before Gathering Storm. So there's a gap in the timeline where this could be set before Gathering Storm happens. So there's a potential gap in the timeline that they could be filling in. And then if they do a 5th one, that'll be about the Inari.
It's also called Ahriman Eternal, yeah?
Yes.
See if Black Library says where it takes place, whatever. Let's have a quick look. It doesn't say when it takes place, just that how the spirits of the Rubricae are vanishing from their armor.
Okay. Yeah, I can't think of when that will be then. Top of my head.
Fuck, how did we forget about Ahriman Exodus?
Oh, yeah, short story.
That's an anthology.
Okay, semantics. It will have a short story in it on top of the other 3.
Oh, yeah, because that anthology, that also had, the very first Black Library story that had Be'lakor in it.
Seriously, it was that long to get a Be'lakor book?
Yeah, it ends up being Ahriman and Be'lakor basically having a rap battle, essentially.
But with psychic powers?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Psychic rap battle.
I was thinking, it took that long for Be'lakor to get a story, and it was in a 40k story rather than the fantasy story or anything like that.
Yeah, not great. I mean, he does have a Broken Realms book dedicated to him now, I guess, but, yeah. I mean, that book's already out of date, so...
Aramex is read because the book contains the first Black Library appearance of Be'lakor, the first Demon Prince of Chaos. So, yeah, the very first story to have Be'lakor in it was bloody Ahriman Exodus. When did that come out?
A year or 2 ago?
Exodus. Typing with one hand sucks.
Yeah, I want to say a year or 2 ago.
I Oh, Pyro is 2015.
Oh, blimey.
That was for the hardback release. Bloody hell. Okay, so Amazon is still selling hardback copies of Aram and Exodus. Do you know how much they're selling for it?
I dread to ask.
Guess.
It's 3 novels plus a short. 25 quid?
Aram and Exodus, no, that's just an anthology. It's just just short stories.
Oh, it's not got the 3 big ones.
No.
How many stories?
Fucking hell.
Sorry. Didn't realise it was going to cause that much pain.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 short stories.
Okay. I'll stick with 25 quid.
£116. For a physical hardcover copy. If you want the Kindle version, $7.99. If you want an actual physical copy, £116 and 25 pence.
I cannot head Death Card enough.
It's like the Araman Omnibus, however, if you want the paperback version of that, £20.
I wasn't that far off considering it had the 3 novels in it.
But if you just want Araman Exodus on its own, £116, please.
Christ.
Fucking hell. I'm very annoyed in regards to like Amazon, like they sell just Kindle version, but they won't actually sell proper EPUB versions, so you can't read it on your laptop or anything like that. You have to read it via Kindle. Because like, there are some like Black Library books you can only get on Amazon. You can't get on Black Library's website. You can only get them on Amazon.
Really?
Like that novel Iron Hands, for example, the one that had the Iron Fist chapter in it. That you can only get digitally on Amazon. You can't get it digitally on Black Library.
What's it called? Iron Hands?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see the one. No, Black Library. Oh no, that's a different book called Iron Hands. That's Jonathan Green's classic novel. That's something different.
Yeah, that one. Jonathan Green novel.
No, that's on Black Library.
Since when?
I don't know, but it's there. It's $5.49.
Because literally, like, when I looked like ages and ages ago, that book was not on Black Library's web store.
It's there now. I don't know if you probably have to search it, but it's there.
Fucking hell. That's buried halfway, isn't it?
It's a completely different cover as well. Like, it's just an Iron Hand symbol rather than having the cover that the book itself actually has, which is an actual iron hand on the front with an axe and all that. I'm
just reading the synopsis and it just makes me laugh, having read the Horror Associate books. Like, they contain the answer to the oldest mystery of the Iron Hands chapter, the resting place of Ferrus Manus. Like, what's all over Istvan?
What, they never recovered his body?
Well, like, he was torn apart, and, like, the Iron Hands, they recovered, like, one of his arms and, like, a part of his torso, then Vulcan smashed it with a hammer.
I knew he was beheaded. I didn't realise they fully chopped him up.
Like, he was literally torn apart. His body was torn apart for trophies.
Ah, right, yeah, fair enough, checks out.
But again, the Iron Hands managed to recover, like, part of his torso and one of his arms, and then Vulcan got pissed off because the Iron Hands had turned it into, like, a statue, and, like, this is an insult to my brother, so he took his hammer and smashed it.
Yeah, that sounds like Vulcan.
So, like, the resting place of Ferrus Manus, it's everywhere.
Yeah, not helpful. Not helpful.
Good old retcons.
Don't you love them?
They do indeed. It's like, do we love Barbie? Do we love Barbie? I wonder if anyone actually understands that reference if they're not a wrestling fan.
I don't.
Oh. Do you remember the hair versus hair match that appeared Mr. McMahon and Umaga against Donald Trump and Bobby Lashley?
It was before I got into wrestling, but I'm aware of said match, yes.
Yeah. And like during the promos leading up to it, he had Donald Trump going like, do we love Barbie? Do we love Barbie? We're trying to get Bobby Lashley over. And everyone was like, yeah, he's alright, I suppose.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley was never getting over back then. Yeah,
because this was before his 2 runs in Impact. And it was
just the Hoover.
Yeah. And in Impact, he was his second run in Impact where he became literally walking Armageddon. And then he got brought back, and then they did a stupid storyline with Sami Zayn and Bobby's sisters. But
he is now a 2-time champion. So.
He is now a 2-time champion, yes. But the sister storyline was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. Anyway,
please don't do that, Triple H.
No. We got Triple H in charge now, so things actually got a chance to improve. All we know is that Kevin Dunn is building up, turn his phone off and it's like boarding up his door. So they can't fire me if they can't contact me.
Dear oh dear.
Anyway.
Sorry, we're getting completely distracted.
Yes, anyway, time for questions. Do you want to bring them up?
There are. Your job? Yeah, there aren't that many, to be completely honest, from the last episode. There's someone doing a Top Gear intro in the comments. Tonight on Theories Gear, Remleiz drifts a Blackstone Fortress, Tactica joins Nurgle, and Arena puts a bet on for a fight in the Warcry Arena. Which, none of those things happened in the episode, but okay, fair enough. Thank you for that comment. It was quite funny. It made me laugh. I liked it.
So you're Richard Hammond?
Apparently so.
Right. That makes me Clarkson then.
That adds up. Mostly. And the discussion of whether a bike is a vehicle is the argument between Kitten and Magnus about whether bikes are transports or not. I mean, it wasn't the intention of the bit, but it was a nice callback.
God, can you imagine a Primarch version of Top Gear? It'll probably just be like Jagtai, Ferris, and, I don't know, Perturabo, wouldn't it?
Definitely Jagtai.
Ferris and Turbo like their big tanks and that, didn't they? So
yeah, that's true.
So that they be the Top Gear trio in my mind.
Yeah, I think that mostly does add up for me. I'm just thinking if there's anyone else in particular, like who was a designer or had anything credited to, like Vulcan maybe, but he wasn't really known for building tanks.
No.
Okay. So there's one question here. There's two questions here in here regarding the warp and the webway. So this is going to get complicated quickly. Can we deduce what would happen if you tried to enter the warp using a warp engine and a warp drive whilst you were in the webway? Because in real space, obviously, you tear a hole in real space and then create a bubble of reality around the ship using a Geller field, and then you travel into the warp. But the webway maybe isn't quite so...
I think what would happen is that you just smash a hole in the walls of the webway.
Yeah, I mean, we know the webway does have holes in it that demons pour through and that parts of the webway have had to be sealed off. So, I mean, I would buy that you just smash a hole between dimensions and it doesn't seal behind you, because it's not like you just push through the hole and then it closes behind you. If you're having to smash through the webway, that's not going to shut behind you.
You just get Magus Clarkson going, power, smash. There you go, there's Top Gear reference. Second time tonight.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of questions within here talking about like the idea of that, can you see the Astronomicon within the webway? What is it like to be a Psyker in the webway? Like, do you have the same... Obviously, it's not the same as being in the warp. You're not constantly at risk of suddenly demons, but what's it like in the webway as a Psyker?
From what I've gathered from some of the Eldari stories, because as we know, all Eldari are psychic,
To some greater or lesser extent, yes.
Well, they are a psychic race, so yeah. No, there's nothing like saying anything about a feeling of numbness or anything like that, or feeling of separation. They don't seem adversely affected in any way, to be honest. So
yeah, and I mean, given that the Emperor was going to build a human webway, obviously based off the idea of the Eldari webway, with humanity being a very powerful psychic species in its own right, clearly it wasn't going to be as much of a danger to be in the webway and a Psyker, given that was the Emperor's eventual plan.
And it doesn't have any adverse effect on psychic powers, considering, in Master of Mankind, the Emperor's allowed, is shown to be capable of using his powers with no problem whatsoever.
This is true. Though, admittedly, being a navigator might be a problem, because can you even see the Astronomicon in the webway? Not that you'd need the Astronomicon necessarily if you're not using the warp, but is it visible?
I imagine it'd be something like if you're driving a car, you listen to the radio, then you go inside a tunnel and you lose the radio signal.
Yeah. possibly. Which would be meaning that any ship that jumped through the warp via the webway would be jumping blind.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got an astronomicon to guide them until they enter the warp, and they could be in anywhere.
Unless they have an actual map, which is like few and far between. Yeah,
because the webway is a dimension and it can be navigated, unlike the hellscape that the warp has become.
Yeah, because Jagatai actually had a map through it, in the end of Path of Heaven. Like when they were at the Dark Glass space station, they actually saw a map of the webway, and they saw, like, okay, these are where the demons are coming through, where's Terra? Terra's there, right, so we've got to follow the path here, right, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, I remember something like that.
And then they arrive in Terra, and Lehman Russ is all pissed off and is like, what the fuck, Jagatai? Where'd you come from? It's like, webway? Okay, can I punch you in the face? Okay, I suppose so. Kind of thing.
Bang.
Which is funny when you go back and realise, like, yeah, but Russ ended up just pissing off and caused Rogodon to flip a table. Like, Don's like, right, we need to reinforce Terra. And Russ is like, I know, I'm going to go out and punch Horus in the face. No, Lehman, that's a stupid fucking idea. No, it's alright, lads, I got this.
Yeah, too late, I've already done it.
Yeah, he went full Clarkson.
Yeah. No, question in your direction. Who is Gendor Scrivok and why do you hate him so much? Because
Gendor Scrivok is the worst fanfiction tier character in any official 40k publication. Not even second to. The only character who comes close to fanfiction tier levels is Sharakin. He's the only other character who comes close in terms
of... Right, fasten your seatbelts, everybody. We're going on Rampage. Here we go.
He is an incredibly poorly written character who seems to exist solely to, like, piss off Nightlord fans in regards to, like, oh, look how outlandishly, cartoonishly evil I am. Because in one of the afterwords for one of his books, Guy Hay even wrote and said, like, oh, I made Scrivok so he'd be, like, more despicable than the heroic Night Lords of Aaron Dembski Bones novels. And I'm just thinking, heroic Night Lords? What book were you fucking reading, mate? Kind of thing. It's just like, he is such a terrible character. He's just a one-dimensional, one-note villain, and he has, quite frankly, no place existing in the canon as far as I'm concerned. So thank fuck. And yes, that is canon.
You might want to bleep that. Yeah, so yes, if you hadn't gathered already, Rem does not like Gendor Scrivok.
A lot of people don't like Gendor Scrivok. Like, most people don't. I mean, let's put it this way. There is a reason why there is only one piece of fan art in existence of the character, which was done by Disharmonia, and she only drew it purely on the basis that she was drawing every single major Night Lord character. And she is the only person to have given him fan art. That's how shit a character is, that he has no fan art whatsoever of any kind, aside from that which was done purely out of obligation.
Yeah.
Fuck Scrivok.
Here's a question. Okay. If you changed Scrivok's Legion and he wasn't a Night Lord, would he be such an issue?
Again, he is...
Because the way your rant goes, and I will... let you finish. Just the way your rant goes is he's an offence to the way the Night Lords are, because that's not how the Night Lords were set up and written, and it just doesn't fit the Night Lords as we understand them. So could you put him as he is in another legion, say the depraved end of the Emperor's Children or the Word Bearers or something, where he would fit?
I'm struggling to think of this here. I'm generally trying to think, would he actually fit in any legion?
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, with how depraved the Emperor's Children became after they were corrupted by Slaanesh. I don't know, given how all-out despicable evil he is, would he fit there?
No, because his like cartoon villainy isn't even in the same ballpark as the Emperor's Children. The Emperor's Children are so high off their heads on fucking space cocaine, like. It's a whole different level. Like, he's not depraved enough to be an Emperor's Children kind of thing, and not even in a subversive kind of way like Fabius Bar. Fabius Bar was because he is a subversion of the rest of the entire Legion. That's what makes him an interesting character, because he saw the depravity that went on with his Legion and rejected it. That was a character archetype of his and a character plot point, And it works because of that, because he is a subversion. Gendor Scrivok is just cartoon villain bad, and not even a well-written one. He literally comes across as one of those characters, like, say it's like you get a Sonic the Hedgehog character and someone just painted it green and were original character Donut Steel.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was your Night Lord's love that was making you hate him so much because he doesn't fit the Night Lords, or whether it was just an objectively bad character. What's your problem with Shuriken, by the way?
He comes across very much like an anime protagonist type, like very shonen, like, teleport behind you, nothing personal, kid type. Like, he always seems to be, like... the best way is like the way Oculus kind of put it. He made him very Mary Sue-ish. Or Gary Stu-ish, rather.
Yeah, because... Yeah, I get what you mean in terms of everything I've read about Shuriken. He's just an uber badass who can do everything and nearly assassinated a Primarch with a sniper rifle.
Yeah, he's basically like an anime Gary Stu.
Yeah, that kind of adds
So basically
up.
you got Shuriken, who's a badly written anime character, and you got Scrivok, who is a badly written fan fiction character. Part of me thinks it's the author's self-insert, I don't know, but hey.
If that's a self-insert, then...
It's like, I want to be the cool badass type. Because, like, do you remember that, I think it was, like, where, like, had, like, Khorne the Betrayal, so Khorne the Bloody at the time, and Latara Saren say, Angron's running rampant throughout a ship. Well, how do we stop him? I know, let's contact Gendor Scrivok. He'll help us, because he's so cool, and he doesn't smell like feet, kind of thing. It's like, for fuck's sake, you got Latara Saren and Khorne the Bloody, and they're basically... begging Gendor Scrivok for help. It's like, fuck off, would Khorne the Betrayer beg anyone for help, let alone from the fucking Night Lords?
Especially when it's to do with fucking Angron. Like, Khorne and Latara Saren are the only people who have ever managed to calm Angron down. Period. End of sentence.
Not to mention having the balls to stand up to him in the first place.
Well, that too. But... yeah, everyone else who's tried just gets a chain axe to the face, and that's if they're lucky.
The only thing that was done well in regards to Scrivok's character, the only thing that was done well, was when he challenged Raldron during the Siege of Terra and said, I am Gendor Scrivok, commander of the Lord's Legion, and Raldron's like, never fucking heard of you, mate. Bang. That was the only good thing. That was the only good thing in regards to Scrivok.
And I'm assuming Raldron absolutely mullered him.
Kicked him off the wall.
Yeah.
And then he got...
Again, beat that.
I need to find like an internet censorship sound.
Get the Slime Arbo noise that I used on episode 100.
I'll need you to send
If I can find it, I'll send it your way because I'm not going into what was said on episode 100 and I will never tell you. But, oh God.
Oh, is that what Frederick said?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're not going there again.
But I was there. I was there the day Frederick Knudsen broke the fresh sorcerer.
Yeah. Honestly, though, episode 100 was so... I loved 150, and I'm really glad we pulled it off, but there's just something to be said for the carnage that was 50 and 100, particularly 100.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to do that out of sheer practicality more than anything else.
Yeah, we'd have to pick and choose and get it down to 10 or 15, because we generally have had too many guests at this point.
I will say this, though. If you would like a repeat of Quizcasters for episode 175, leave a comment down below.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed doing that. And as much as I know it was a lot of work for you to write it all, if we get enough notes, enough time to plan it, it is a really cool format.
And plus, I've got some questions left over, I'm sure. If I can find the document, I can probably just reuse the ones that weren't used in the first place. That saves half the time. Yeah,
and we can get two guests instead of having like we had where we had teams of two. You could get two guests and have it as a 1v1 where both of us get to write questions, and thus therefore it's halves your workload.
Or I could just pit you against a guest.
Yeah, arguably too. Admittedly, I sort of had the idea of Richard Armstrong and Alexander Armstrong going there, but just of like the one who knows a fair bit and can talk to people, and the one who is the absolute knows absolutely everything and is also funny. And I'll let the viewers decide who's who. But yes, there you go.
I've now got this mental image of, like, say, like you versus Samoa Joe.
I would get choked out as soon as I ended up winning. I would just end up getting choked out. But Joe reads loads, so he'd actually be a really interesting opponent because he reads a lot and he knows a lot.
He knows his shit. Yeah, he knows his stuff.
I mean, Oculus is the other one. I would love to take. I'd probably lose to Oculus, but I'd love to see just how far I could push him.
I have no idea. A three-way battle: you versus Oculus versus Valrak.
Possible.
That could be a good one.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. So yes, let us know. Well, there's two things you've got to do now, comments. You've got, let us know if you would have had an issue with dragon salamander heads, and let us know if you want us to do another episode of Quizcastus down the line, because both of those are things we would like to hear from you about, because we value your feedback. We try to at least listen to it and do what we can with the format, but we've done 150 episodes of this thing. We've kind of got the format down now.
We are.
I'd like to think so. It'd be quite funny if the eventual end of Adeptus Podcastus is just it evolves into just book club. Like that's all that ends up being. We just bun off the news and we just make it book club and just do it for an hour. Just do that instead.
And we'll try and find some like copyright-free version of the Bullet Club theme for it.
Yeah, and get some nice background music going as well. Just to review it, because I remember like my original 40k stories was actually just reading out the books. Like my first Farsight stories and my Crimson Slaughter ones were just reading out the books. But once I got into script writing, I really, really was proud of a lot of the scripts I wrote. And I still think if I had the time, I'd actually be quite okay at writing scripts. But it's just time. It's always time. Anyway, that's another issue. Okay, one more to finish then, because I can see we are heading toward the 2-hour mark. What would you make a Warhammer digital RPG about? So someone suggests here the idea of being an up-and-coming Chaos Lord and playing a Mountain Blade style game, trying to build your own army as a Chaos Lord.
Oh, God. I have no bloody idea, to be honest.
No, because like, what classifies as a digital RPG? Like, are we talking like Elder Scrolls games? Do they count as RPGs, or are they too actiony? Are we
going like you got one of like what type of RPG is it? Like like turn-based RPG, JRPG, like tactical RPG?
Yeah, it's
rocket-propelled grenade launchers.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of like. I think a Chaos Lord or a Chaos Cultist is a really good direction to take a character building type game, because you've got more room to spec into your own stuff, whether it's an action RPG in the manner of Skyrim, or something like that, where you've got like magic, weapons, shields, or guns as it would be, and things like that, different armor, summoning, all that stuff. Kind of the idea of Skyrim, but you're a Chaos Lord or a Chaos Sorcerer of some kind. I could see that being interesting.
A version of Skyrim, but in chaos, with chaos in set in the warp. Call it Irym for the Eye of Terror.
Oh, that's annoyingly good. That's annoyingly good. I mean, is Necromunda hired gun RPG-ish? Or is it just a shoot 'em up?
It's got some RPG elements, like we can do some like customization of like but that's not very much. I'd say it's more just a customizable first-person shooter more than anything else. The RPG elements in hired gun are very limited compared to like an actual proper RPG. Like compared to Skyrim, it's like nowhere near as like refined.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I think of, like, classic Fallout, where you go on an adventure, where you sort of, like a Necromunda RPG in the style of classic Fallout could be really fun, where you're exploring, like, a hive city or an ash waste, picking up all the Underhive, yeah. Just that sort of idea would be kind of interesting, where it's turn-based, character-focused, skills-based, followers, story, dialogue, all that sort of stuff. I think that would work.
Imagine doing like a JRPG style, so you have like a Chaos Space Marine, but he's got crazy anime protagonist hair.
Are we talking JRPG? Are we talking like Fire Emblem?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's sort of turn-based, hex-based.
Yeah, that's a tactical RPG, yeah. So kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics as well.
Okay, right, okay, yeah. I've not played much Final Fantasy, but I think I know what you mean. Yeah, okay. It's some interesting ideas, definitely. I think RPG is the right direction to take Warhammer games, particularly AOS, where it's a fantasy setting. It suits RPGs, character building, exploring, magic, that kind of thing really, really well. 40k, because it's got a lot of guns and things, I think sort of suits itself very well to the games it has. Action RPG, third-person shooter, bullet hell.
I think in Fallout New Vegas, but in Warhammer.
I mean, I would absolutely go for Fallout New Vegas, but in Warhammer, because Fallout New Vegas is the best game ever, debatably. It's certainly in the conversation as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sorry, for me, best game of all time is going to be Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Saturn. Sorry.
No, that's fair enough. I know everyone's got their own personal favourites, but like I think New Vegas was the first video game I bought for myself, rather than like, oh, it's a game we're getting for me and my sibling on the console because you're both going to play it or whatever. Like the Lego games, FIFA games, racing games. New Vegas was the first game I bought out and out for me. So, no, that would be Assassin's Creed. But, no.
Bloody hell. Sorry. Out of curiosity, I checked on eBay for the prices of Panzer Dragoon Saga and stuff like that, because like, it's a game that obviously is long out of print, and a game they've also lost the source code for, so they can't actually reissue it without remaking the game from scratch. And
it's on the Sega Saturn, which is a relic of its own.
Yeah. And the cheapest copy I can see, for a complete copy, cheapest, 550 quid. That's the cheapest.
Jeez.
And that's for a PAL version. The Japanese version is cheaper, but again, I can't read Japanese, so playing an RPG in Japanese is going to be like, what the fuck am I doing kind of thing.
Yeah, you'd really need the subtitles to help you out, and yeah.
Yeah. Next cheapest copy I can see is $649, and then after that it's about $1,200.
Jesus, wept.
Do you know how much I paid for my copy? Because I bought it after it was long discontinued as well. This was like years ago. I got it off eBay for about 80 quid, complete.
I mean, that's not much more than a standard AAA game is these days, because it's about twice of what a standard AAA game is.
Now, bear in mind, when the game was released, it was available for about 40 quid. So I paid double the price, effectively, in the years after it was discontinued. And I got the game back in 2000, and the game was discontinued in like 1997, so it was like 3 years after release, after discontinued.
Okay, so that's not terrible.
So in 3 years, it went up from like 40 quid to 80 quid. And in about 20 years, it's gone up to about 500 quid.
Well, at least the inflation has slowed down, because it doubled in price within the first 3 years, and is now over... If it did that every single time, doubling in price in 3 years, it would now be... times 2 times more expensive, so you'd easily be running into five figures. So at least the inflation slowed down.
I kind of wish the price has gone a bit higher so I can say, like, oh, I can sell it and buy another house.
Yeah, it'd be about 5 or 10 grand if it did that. But yes, and I think we're pretty much at time.
And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jeremy Clarkson. No, not really. I can't do a Clarkson accent to save my life.
No.
But
yes, that brings us to the end of episode 154 of Adeptus Podcastus. Sorry, I'll let you do your outro. It's your channel.
Yes. So, thank you very much to everyone who joined us for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, in spite of the random screams that peppered in through it, and rambling about pain and broken record. But until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And this has been me from Tactica Imperialis.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.